guys, it's Miss Julie. Welcome back to another virtual lesson. I hope you guys are still staying safe and having fun. I encourage you all to try something new. It's the perfect time to try new things, and you never know, you might find new interests or new hobbies that you like. So with everything going on and doing a couple of my bones and lessons, I thought it was the perfect time to actually talk about our lungs. So today we're going to talk about our lungs and kind of learn what our lungs do, the function of lungs, and some things that harm our lungs. So lungs are very important because lungs are organs that's found within our chest, and they actually help us breathe. Breathing is a vital function because it helps our body work properly, and it helps our body basically function. So our lungs kind of go through this process, and it's a gas exchange. And actually, humans and plants and trees work together for this gas exchange because plants go through this process called photosynthesis, and it makes oxygen. So when it makes that oxygen, we are actually able to breathe it in, and that's what allows us to breathe. We breathe in that oxygen, and then when the oxygen travels down to our lungs, it goes through this gas exchange, and it turns it into carbon dioxide. So when you breathe out, you're actually breathing out carbon dioxide. And then the plants actually take in that carbon dioxide, and then that's how they make that oxygen. So we work together to make oxygen, for the plants to make oxygen, and then for us to make carbon dioxide, and then we can kind of exchange those gases. So our lungs, we have two. They're found within our chest. We have some on the left side and then one on the right side. So we have one here and then one over here. And then an important fact is actually around our lungs is our ribs. So that ribs actually kind of acts as a protective guard to protect our lungs from being punctured or harmed from outside forces. So one of the main functions is what our lung does is, like I said, it takes that oxygen from the environment and it transfers to our bloodstream. It transfers to our lungs. It helps our body function, and then it actually goes through that gas exchange within our lungs. So a little fun fact is the right side of our lung and then our left side of our lung, they're actually different sizes. They're not the same size. And then actually one of the biggest causes of lung-related complaints and issues later on is smoking. That's one of the number one things today. Smoking tobacco is very harmful for your lungs. It can cause lung disease, cause you to get a lung transplant. It can cause your breathing to be affected. It's so harmful to our lungs. So right now we're actually going to talk about kind of how we are able to breathe and what our lungs do and what they look like when we breathe in. So before I talk about that, I will show you my little lung model. So all I did was I took a piece of paper and I looked up a lung model online, and I just drew it on a piece of paper, cut it out, and I'll show you what this part looks like. It's kind of like that, and then it's like that all the way down. And then I took two straws, taped them together, and then taped it down to this top part right here. And then I taped the straws into both sides of the lung. And then I took plastic bags, put one on each side for each lung, and taped it down to the straw. So now we have a little lung model, and then I just added a little mouth for fun. So this is kind of what our lung looks like. We have different parts of our lung. Another protective layer that we have within our lungs is I drew it with the black Sharpie. That's actually our pleura. It's on the outside of the lungs, and it just helps protect it, just like the ribs. So when we breathe in air, it actually travels down through our trachea, which is just this part. This is what the top part of the straw is representing, is our trachea. And then at the bottom of our trachea, it actually kind of splits off into two windpipes. So it splits off into these two windpipes, and it actually makes these little, it kind of looks like trees, little tree looking things. And this is within our lungs. This is our bronchi when it splits off. And then this is actually where the gas exchange happens, is right here within this lung. So I'm going to kind of show you with the lung model. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to blow in to the straws. So it's like the straws is taking in that oxygen. And then watch the plastic bags to see what happens. Okay. So the plastic bags actually represent our lungs. And you can see as the straws took in that air, it actually expanded. So when our lungs expands, it kind of has to go through different things. So our body uses different muscles, like our diaphragm, our abdomen, muscles in our neck, that sits kind of below the lungs to help expand the lungs. So the muscles contracts, so they move down, and it allows more space within the lungs to expand, and that allows you to take in more air. So that air is taken in, and your lungs expand just like this plastic bag did. And so then when you breathe out, those muscles start to go back into their normal resting position, and that air leaves the lungs. So just like the plastic bag, so it starts to get flat again. Just like that. So then now it's normal, and it's the same thing. Every time you breathe, our lungs expand again. So that's kind of the process. That's what happens when we breathe. Our lungs expand like that, and then they kind of go back in when you exhale. So like I said before, right here, this is where that gas exchange happens. So when you're breathing in that air, your lungs is expanding, and it's working in overtime to take that gas exchange to produce carbon dioxide, so you can blow carbon dioxide in. So that's kind of what our lung looks like. It was quick and easy. You guys can do this at home. I just needed paper, tape, straws, and then plastic bags, and then you have a fun little lung model. So now what I'm going to kind of talk about is harmful things for our lungs. So we can actually do things that damage our lungs, and it can cause lifelong issues. Like I said earlier, one of the things with smoking, that's one of the biggest things that happens. Smoking is super, super harmful to our lungs. It can cause many different issues, even within our body, not just our lungs. But I figured it was important to talk about one of the things that's going around today, which is the coronavirus. So the coronavirus, we all have heard about it, but we all might not know kind of what it is. So the coronavirus is actually a respiratory illness, so that deals with our lungs. It attacks our lungs, and it can cause lung damage. You can recover from the coronavirus, but it can cause some lung issues down the road, or it may not cause lung issues down the road. But there's also other illnesses that you guys have heard of that actually attacks your lungs too. That's pretty similar to the coronavirus. One of those is pneumonia. You can get pneumonia. That is a respiratory illness. It's within your lungs. It's pretty similar to the coronavirus. What happens is fluid enters your lungs, and it actually limits the lungs' ability to expand and take in that air, which is causing that shortness of breath, that coughing, and that pain that you have around your lung areas. There's things like acute respiratory distress syndrome, sepsis, and then many different other things. But the coronavirus that's going around right now, but I just kind of wanted to talk about that and talk about how it's similar to other illnesses that we have heard about. But that's what happens, is that fluid enters our lungs, but there is treatments out there that can help you feel better and get better within time. I will say about a year or so ago, I was extremely sick. I had pleurisy, that is another lung issue. I had fluid that had entered my lungs, and I recovered from it. It took a little while, but I'm completely fine now. But it's just one of those things that can happen. But we just kind of have to try our best to recover, and then do our best to not do things that harms our body or harms our lungs. For example, like smoking. So I hope you guys learned a little bit about our lungs today, and kind of learned about how corona affects our lungs, or different substances out there that can harm our lungs. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you do this. It's actually very fun to make, and it's actually neat. I enjoyed making it. I hope you guys do it and you enjoy making it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, girls.